right, I'm starting the layup of the Firewall. I just wanted to note real quick, I'm setting it up right now. Like, I've already set the gel coat and everything in this about a day ago. So it's a little tacky, but not too tacky. Like, I can still rub it, it's fine, but it will hold the carbon in place for my first layup. I'm gonna do a wet layup, and then I'm gonna vacuum bag the whole thing. I got tape already ran around it. But what I wanted to note is Fibre Glast 3K with the stabilized weave is awesome for something like this, especially something that's flat. You want I'm gonna do a seam down the center, and I'm gonna make all of these edges really crisp, and I don't want any like weird waves in it because it's gonna be the main section of the engine bay where you're gonna see once you look into it. So I'm just cutting out certain sections and laying them up one by one. But this is so useful because you can see like this still will stay square and not distort the weave at all. Whereas if I cut a normal piece of carbon fiber, it would start fraying, and even if I cut it perfectly, it would have an edge. Or if I pull out one of the strings, it'll have an edge that I'll have to cut, which will have little frayed marks, and it'll be a slightly darker 2-channel on the edge. So this is super, super helpful when laying up something like this. I can really take my time and make sure all these edges are real crisp. But I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into time lapse and we'll get going. We have this nice firewall we've made. So we literally made a MDF template of this whole thing, and I knew kind of around about where the batteries were gonna be, so I just bumped it up and made it a little bit longer than it needed to be, a little higher than it needed to be. But you can see it's offset to one side. This is actually at the center line of the car, but it's longer on this side than it is on this side. That's so that can bump around the steering. And this can bump around so we can run the lines right up here to the charging unit. But all this carbon, this is not like a V-weave carbon we bought. This is just Fibre Glast, I wish for blank on the word, stabilized 3K carbon. So it has the little backing piece. And so all I did was just cut a straight line on it with a ruler and just set it in the mold and just hand place each of these pieces. Like, that's a separate piece, that's a separate piece, this top section's a piece, that's another piece from it. So I just kind of lined them all up, and I had a laser level shooting the level straight down the center for me, and it came out great. I'll go ahead and set this in there so you can kind of get a good idea. Like, the firewall looks absolutely messy, but probably everybody's looking at it like, that's going to SEMA, what the hell?
And then you throw this in, like, damn, that's a show car now.
Yeah.
Hide all your imperfections.
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? We didn't have any issues here. There's a little bump.
In a way, this is how we treat the problems to our life.
Hide them.
Yep. Throw stuff on top.
No, so the nice thing is I have like some holes over there for the brake booster that will, I had to actually cut this. I made it a whole huge panel and we cut it down to fit, but it wouldn't fit perfectly without having to cut these in separate pieces. So this actually is gonna go in here. But, you know, you get the idea. But having bolts I can hold here, and then the AEM CCU, I'll hold it over there just for fun. Dropping fittings. This bad boy's gonna sit right here. So everywhere I'll have a hole in here, I'll be able to run bolts and stuff like that. I can show you these boys. Nice vibrant fittings. These are the two that are gonna run just like that. Run a hose lower and like down below and above, right through here, right to the 2 coolant ports of the CCU. Well, one to the coolant port, and then we'll have a little reservoir like I was talking about.
Pop off your death service hole.
Service hole.
Now we can see the junk again.
Hell yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
It don't.
Yeah. That way I can get to the steering column, I can get to the batteries if I need to. So all the BMS units for the center are all gonna sit on top of the stuff, on top of the batteries. And then the BMS units for this side are gonna sit against the firewall. We cover this battery and stuff like that. These aren't gonna be open either. They'll have a nice carbon battery tray, but that'll also be part of the
So you actually have a decent
whole
amount of space to throw some luggage in here.
Yeah, this will, I mean, other than the CCU and the brake booster right there, this is all gonna be a Frunk. So, got tons of space. The trunk is still usable. It's got like more storage space than a stock Z by a lot.
The road.
Yeah. If we have a car that's got power steering, very fun to drive, looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a good way. Has a ton of storage, has AC, has all the modern amenities of stuff you'd want, like power brakes, but it's an old 70s car that's, you know, brought up to the future. And
It looks like it's from the
Electric
year
stuff.
2050.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, I do want to talk about how I did this. So I essentially made the whole firewall. You'll cut this entire square out except for 4 little spots to leave tabs, right? So you cut 90% of the way there, you completely cut the corner, and you leave a little tab connected at each corner. So you cut through, and then from the back, you tape off your hatch, and then you wax where your tape is and everything from the back, and then you just lay strips of carbon from the backside. And so what that does is it makes a perfect shelf out of carbon, and then when you are finished, once that the little shelf hardens, then you can come here and just cut your little tabs, 4 tabs, tap it with a hammer from the back, whole thing pops off, and you have a nice, I mean, I probably even should trim this back a little bit. You can see even the lines of tape I had on here. So trim this back a little bit and call it a day, but you have a nice shelf that's at a perfect height. I even stacked extra tape up there so I could put a thin gasket in here. Then I'll probably just drill maybe 6 holes in it total and run riv nuts so we can access it when we need to. So this is the saga of our $500 car going to SEMA. Yeah, we'll just keep pushing on it. Next episode, I don't even know what we're doing, but it's gonna be cool.